But Marcellus, I'm going to start with you, big
Please
bro.
do.
Was it smart for the NBA to schedule a Lakers-Clippers matchup on opening night?
Of course it was. Like, who could push back against this? Like, what y'all wanted? Lakers versus the Magic or something? Oh, Slick Rick had to raise his hand. I mean, first of all, there's no better matchup in the NBA than the sizzle and substance matchup, which is the Lakers-Clippers. Be real about it. Soon as the season started, people were like, is there any way we could restructure this to get those two teams in the finals, not just the Western Conference finals? Because no other matchup in your imagination can hold true. Lakers versus Celtics. Lakers versus Milwaukee. Clippers versus Celtics. It's Lakers-Clippers. So I love the fact the NBA said sizzle and substance from day one.
My marketing guy says, you are absolutely right. This is the move. This is how they started the season. They knew what they were doing. We knew how they went at them. My medical staff, not so happy with this idea because you're going to have basically a month to get ready. And I was at that Lakers-Clippers game to start the season. They went at it like a playoff game. I would expect this same approach. So you have one of two choices. You're either going to disappoint your fans by saying, you know what, LeBron, AD, we're only going to play you 20, 25 minutes. We're going to take this as an exhibition. Same thing with the Clippers. Or you're going to let these guys go at it. And the fact, look, I can't underscore this enough. We're talking about starting off another regular season with a month of preparation instead of a summer of preparation, a month of training camp, and then we go into that first game. It's totally different. And the risk here is that you're going to have one of these key teams lose somebody as a result of injury the first night out and going to be compromised going forward. Or it's just going to be a glorified exhibition and the fans are going to be disappointed because they're not going to get what they got Lakers-Clippers to start the season. It's one or the other as a result of this.
Gentlemen, yes. I do not know a lot. I don't. I act like I do, but I don't. But I know two things. I know about kinesiology and I know about psychology because I studied them both. So Slick Rick.
And asterisk.
And asterisk. And asterisk. But Slick Rick, I totally agree with you. This is why. Last week, Pat Beverly, we talked about him on this show. Why? Because while the Lakers player, while they were talking about, well, let's worry about health, let's worry about this, while Jared Dudley was talking about so many different things, what Pat Bev say, Marcellus? He said, what? Check ball. Check ball. He said check ball. He don't want to hear all that nonsense.
Buster.
That's what he said.
Ball.
He didn't say Buster, okay? That's a lot more intimidating.
A lot
more intimidating come out of Marcellus, okay? But here's my point. My point being, athletes are athletes. They will compete on the cement, on the grass, on the gridiron. It does not matter. They will compete against their best interest bodily wise and physically at times. So if you put up two teams that notoriously hate each other, two teams that are supposed to compete in the Western Conference Finals day one after about 3.5 months off, that's just not wise. Yes, I'm with you, Slick Rick. The marketing guy, great decision for them. Will the game rate well? Absolutely. But from a league that has already said we're going to try to ease into things, you can't expect to put Pat Bev on the court with LeBron James, to put Kawhi on the court with LeBron James, and think that it's not going to go from 0 to 100 real quick, to quote the great philosopher Drake.
Well, let's keep it in the rap game since we quote things. Scared money don't make no money. And guess what? Y'all want to play professional sports scared? Y'all in the wrong business right here. Look, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. All these guys talk about, can we ease ourselves into the season? Hey, bro, we helicopters. We ain't airplanes. We don't need a runway. Soon as it starts, boop, straight up top. Let's go. And that's what the NBA is banking on. You have to. Slick Rick, you're in the Bay Area. You're my dog. I know you get this reference. I'm going to have to talk to this young whippersnapper on this set, this youngster who was born in 1990. But 2 years before he came out all wet behind the ears and didn't know what was up, there was an artist by the name of MC Hammer who dropped his first album. And for everybody out there who don't love MC Hammer, start in the beginning again. I'm going to take you there, and you need to get your love for Hammer up. One of my favorite artists all time, my mama's favorite artist. We would just dance to Hammer. but he started his album out of this amazing career. His first album was a little intro that was called Turn This Mother Out. And everyone thought that that was a great song. No, no, no. That was just the intro. You know what the first song was? Let's get it started. That's how it started. And MC Hammer went ballistic from that point on. If you playing basketball, your intro is right now. You at home, you ain't in the bubble. But as soon as you step on that court, Lakers, Clippers, let's get it.
Do we have insurance on this desk? Because I swear Marcellus, sorry, Slick Rick. I'm just making sure we got insurance on this desk. I'm looking out for the bosses. But Slick Rick, talk to me.
What?
First of all, I'm about ready to break out my parachute pants, man. You got me going with the MC Hammer reference. Look, this is exactly it. You're right, Marcellus. You can't contain these guys. Once they get out there, they're going to want to go. But the problem is they haven't had the runway. They haven't had the normal runway. This isn't even like 4 months off. This is 4 months off not having the opportunity of playing any 5-on-5 whatsoever. So physically, they're just not ready to go from 0 to 60 at this point. They were able to do that at the beginning of the year, and there weren't any repercussions. This is a completely different place. Look.
What? Slick Rick, if you play Orlando, do you go slower? Do you play less if you play Orlando? Like, what are you talking about?
But here's the fear. Here's the fear is that you come in and you go 0 to 60 in that first game. You're going to go harder than you've gone for the last five months, literally. You're going to go harder and faster. If there's an injury as a result, and God forbid that it's one of the key guys, but if it's any guy, now the asterisk question of this team's compromised, this isn't the same. The whole idea is you not only have a return to play, but that you crown a legitimate champion. And if they lose somebody right out of the gate, then that's going to change the way our perspective on this entire return. And I just don't think that's what the NBA wants. And that's what they're risking by having these two teams play each other right out of the gate.
This isn't like the video games. I don't play them anymore, but I used to. And when I would play the video games and I would go into the dynasty setting, gentlemen, I would go and make sure I would go to injuries. And injuries, I would make sure I turned them all the way off because I didn't want to lose one of my star players when I was locked up into dynasty mode playing the game. You don't have the luxury to do that in real games, in the real NBA, which is about to kick off. Just not a good idea for health reasons. Great idea if you say in check ball. Great idea if you want to do ratings. But if you want to look out for the health of the players, just not smart.
That's not